Photographers of Reddit, what is the most outrageous photo shoot request you have received from an Instagram influencer? Wedding photographer here. They said they were influencers with a great following that they'd promote me to, but when I asked for their handle online, silence. I get this is a lot as I'm fairly well known, so an easy target when people look. Exposure? People die from exposure. Been a wedding photographer for 12 years. I routinely get asked to do entire weddings for free, not even always from Instagram influencers. One time this guy, whom I didn't even like that much, asked me to do a wedding for free for his friend. Someone I didn't even know existed at all until this interaction. I just imagine walking into a restaurant and asking for the absolute best meal they have for $0 and then telling them it will be good for their business to do so. DJ, same thing. Influencers weren't what they are now back when this happened, but there was this flamboyant musician client I had that wanted to generate a buzz. I was pretty early in my career, so it didn't sound crazy at the time, but he hired me to follow him around a local outdoor shopping mall pretending to be paparazzi. It was actually kinda fun shouting fake interview questions at him while he ignored me. Lots of people fell for it and followed us around. Looking back on it, it was the dumbest gig I've ever had. Sounds funny and seems harmless, honestly. I had a client ask me to Photoshop his head onto another guy's body because he liked the shirt the other guy was wearing more than his own. I actually did it because it was hilarious and he paid me for it. I was selling an old camera on eBay, maybe $50, and someone asked me to send it to him for free so he could review it on his YouTube channel. I'm not the manufacturer of the second-hand camera, just an art student trying to make some money, so I don't know how he thought reviewing my old camera was of any benefit to me. And then it turned out he only had 10 subscribers, so I really don't know what he thought he was doing. You have 10 subscribers but start your email off with "Hi, I'm name," better known as channel name. Somehow have avoided this with my actual photography work, but I still laugh about eBay guy. 10 people follow his channel, but only 3 people know who he is, himself and his parents, so he wasn't wrong. A bald guy asked me to Photoshop veins in his head to make his head look like a giant dong. He was some kind of businessman who was selling an audiobook. Dickhead move. I got asked if I had any duct tape because she wanted her boobs to push up into her dress. She then proceeded to strip completely down to just high heels and wanted me to go in the other room so she could take selfies with my remote control. I'm not leaving you alone with 10k worth of lenses. And that's when you learn to always carry duct tape with you. Never know what kind of influencer emergency might come up. Had someone ask me to do more than a week of videography for them and create a promo video for $200, not a day, for the whole week. Assuming 8 hours a day, 5 business days, that would come out to $5 an hour. Jesus Christ, that's less than minimum wage. The entitlement of some people. As a photo assistant in Chicago, I had a friend tell me there was a popular NY photographer looking for an assistant on Instagram for a shoot in Chicago. I inquired with the gentleman, and he said he only had a day rate of $150. On top of that, he said the day would be a 14-hour day, and he asked me to pick up his equipment rental, which included a 12-foot sweep, and store it at my place to be ready for the shoot the next day. Heck no. $150 for 17 hours worth of work. IDC which photographer you are, pay your assistants correctly. $150 for 17 hours. Bet that's an older guy who used to get $150/day assisting 25 years ago, like me. Influencer asked me to shoot, and before I even had the chance to give her my prices, she decided to give me hers. Over $300 for me to shoot with her for 30 minutes. One of her main selling points was she could teach me how to leverage and grow my social media. Girl was 15. In fairness, I can kind of see how this entitlement develops. Random fashion companies offer modeling opportunities to girls as young as 14 just BC. They have 3k followers and post bikini pics. And that combined with general teenage dumbassery leads to a massively inflated ego. Had a girl contact me to do a suicide girls photo shoot. I gave her my rates and she got back with, "Oh, I don't have that much. Isn't it enough that you'd see my tea?" Beet poop. Some influencer that was promoting betanin in beets as healthy diet. She wanted me to take images of the color change poop. That this is actually normal in those that can't process the betanin. That week, my DSLR was dropped hard, and now I am without it. It was a bad week. The strangest thing to me about this is not the fact that she wanted pictures of the poop, but that she wanted someone else to take the pictures. Yuck. Also, sorry about your DSLR. Professional here. This isn't really outrageous in terms of what they wanted to do in a photo, but I would say 90% of influencers who contact me try to use tagging as their form of payment. Well, I have 100k followers, so you're guaranteed to get so much work from this, you'd be an idiot to say no. This is word for word what one woman said to me when I politely informed her of my rates. Paying artists in exposure is nothing new, but the level of entitlement I'm seeing these days is off the charts. The only thing I can ever guarantee from these interactions is that they will throw a massive tantrum when I say no, complete with some classic Arnes Ejiral's lines like your crap isn't even that good, I was trying to do you a favor, etc. One person contacted me saying that she gets paid X amount from companies per post, thus every post she makes using my photographs should count for X amount of dollars paid to me, because like so many people will see it, you will pretty much be famous. A few years back I was in Acadia National Park and we did the Beehive Trail hike. For those unfamiliar, it's basically as close to rock climbing as you can get non-harnessed, as you are going straight up a cliff on iron rungs and stuff. So super fun, and you are rewarded with an amazing view at the top. Most people take a quick snap there at the lip, as most do at the peak of their hike, and then move on to the more rocky area, but less a nice view, to rest. Anyway, while we were there resting, 2 Instagram girls got to the top and promptly took over the best view of the lip to take various yoga poses, because that was totally a natural thing to do after scrambling up a cliff. For at least 10 minutes families were coming up asking if they could take a picture, but they literally said we were here first and we'll be here a while. When asked if they were almost done, we ended up leaving before they were done, but it still boils my blood thinking about it. I would just photo them all their pictures until they left. I can't stand people like that. Had an influencer try to set up a shoot with me. When I mentioned my price, she was shocked because she was under the assumption that I was going to pay her for some reason. I work at a hotel and it's unfrickin' believable how many of these dipshits want to stay for free in exchange for a post. Our marketing research shows they have almost zero ROI. I was in NY once and this girl, should be in her 20s, approached me and told me to take her photo. I thought it would be some general request, but still, to stand up to my pride, I lowered the camera to gain an architectural perspective. But then when I look at her, she was standing in middle of the road, one arm on a car that she must have stopped cause the traffic was ongoing, and the other holding a banner that said, "Life." To this day I had no idea what I just witnessed. She asked for $200 HR with a 3-hour minimum, without any real prior modeling experience, and had conditions that the photos could not be posted anywhere and that she was going to have them sold exclusively on her Patreon. Had someone ask for me to do a videography shoot of their new house being built. They said $200, but they wanted me to go each weekend for 2 years and shoot it to build up a time lapse and stuff. I definitively said no. Someone asked me to shoot her entire wedding, a full day, an engagement photo shoot underwater. I do underwater photography also, and some honeymoon shots somewhere, all for exposure. I straight up said no, politely, and she kicked off in a patronizing way asking me if she knew who she was and what it would do for my career. She had about 10k less followers than I did, and I don't even do weddings as I had pointed out, so it wasn't even in my best interest even if she had millions of followers. Oh, and an influencer guy asked me to do a nude photo shoot for him for free. I declined but wished him luck. He then sent a dong pic. I reported him. The influencer with less influence than you, that's rich. Work in a camera store and do photography myself. Hear stories about this sort of stuff all the time. Usually just ask model shoots for exposure, but I've heard and seen stories. There is a fairly popular one at the moment about a photographer in Chicago, about people asking for full wedding shoots for exposure. Not always influencers asking these questions either. Sometimes people ask this stuff and then say stuff like, well, if I had that equipment then we'd be able to get the same results. They just don't have respect for the time that goes into the art form. Point them to Borrowed Lenses website and wish them luck. Not a photographer personally, but a few of my close friends are. My friend we'll call Sarah is a pretty successful photographer for only being college student. About a month ago Sarah and I were meeting up for lunch at our university's food court and she's fiddling with her cameras prepping them for a big shoot she has that night when this very attractive girl walks over and starts chatting us up. She makes a few minutes of casual conversation mostly inquiring about Sarah's cameras, and then finally asks if she'd be interested in doing a shoot. She immediately throws her pitch which had to do with modeling some very risque outfits up in the mountains just outside of the city and then a few photos directly in the center of downtown. Overall the whole pitch was something that bordered very close to being pornographic in nature. Sarah tells the girl her typically rates and also states that because of the nature of the shoot she'll have to charge extra as it's not something she typically does or is super comfortable with. The girl's face when Sarah mentioned the price went from enthusiastic to very "are you kidding me?" She then butts in and says, "I have over 85k Instagram followers. Do you know the kind of exposure working with me would give you? This is a once in a lifetime chance for you." Sarah responds telling her that she's an in-house photographer for 3 of the city's largest concert venues, works as a photographer for the newspaper, and is a highly recommended wedding photographer on top of it all. "I don't work for free." My favorite line she said during this was, "I work with people much more famous than you on an almost daily basis. I've shot photos for Marilyn Manson, Motley Crue, Shania Twain, Post Malone and a bunch of other musicians that come through and was paid for all of it. Your exposure isn't worth anything to me." After that the girl got really upset and walked off. I do documentary film and I had a non-film job in college and I met this lady who was maybe 30 asked me to do an Instagram video like this and she showed me a professional video shoot done with a green screen, lights and set. I told her I could probably get pretty close to quality with my university's equipment, but it would take time to get a crew together and reserve a studio. She told me no, that I should just record it with my phone. I told her that's not what they did for the Instagram video she just showed me and she said it's on Instagram. That means they recorded it with their phone. She dropped it after I mentioned I charge money and wouldn't just do it to be nice. She has like 10 followers and 3 of them were porn bots. Not a photographer but I sell rocks, crystals, obelisks, palm stones etc. to fund a small animal sanctuary. I've been asked by a few people to borrow my inventory of rocks to do photo shoots for. None of them offered to pay and wanted me to lug 1,000 pounds of rocks to their location and set them all up all out of the kindness of my heart. I would have taken $50 or $100 for an entire day's shoot tbh, but really? I do photography on the side since I'm mostly film video, but I have a friend who has an Instagram account as a side business for fun. I told her I would do a photo shoot for her if she helped me with my resume and cover letter. Although she has tons of companies that give her products to review for free, the photo credit she gave me honestly didn't lead to any followers on my Instagram. So yeah, anyone who wants exposure for crazy work I don't think knows that they actually don't give any exposure. In my case I was the one who brought up the deal and honestly I would have done it for free to get out of the house because she's my friend. But yeah, that photo credit doesn't do anything in my experience. Not a photographer, but one of my acquaintances is a semi-popular influencer. She spends way too much time to see authentic and down to earth. One time at a small party I did something funny that made a bunch of people laugh. Whatever it was wasn't caught on camera and she forced me to recreate the moment so that she could film it for her Instagram stories. You're not having fun unless you can prove it to your thousands of followers apparently. Do that spontaneous thing again. Do it. Everyone needs to know how much fun we're having. BTW, there was a great Always Sunny where D was essentially trying to do this. I do street photography every so often. I was once offered influence credit for pretending to be in shock that I found her in the streets of my town. I would take a bunch of photos of her at the spot and give them to her. This would all be recorded by her, I hope, boyfriend. I wasn't allowed to use the photos myself and all I would get is a tag at the end of the description. I said no thanks. Then snapped a couple photos of her. She said she would sue me. I said we were on public streets and I'm a hobbyist who doesn't sell. I don't need model waivers. Never heard from her again. Never used photos either. She's not interesting. She said she would sue me. I had someone try this line on me when they discovered I was recording them while playing TF2. I told them go ahead and try, buddy. I am more broke than a dropped dinner plate. They quickly left the server. I paid my photographer for my album cover with cinnamon buns. He insisted that was the payment he wanted, so I've invented a new currency. Did it with the photo editor too, although it was a mix of money and cinnamon buns. Imagining a world in which we pay for everything with cinnamon buns. I'm a train conductor, heading out to hop on a train that was parked to take it to its destination. The locomotives were under this 200-yard long overpass tunnel, all private property. There's two early 20s girls under there taking pics. I asked them to leave and they took an attitude and were upset I was ruining their photo shoot. The engineer and I are all ready to roll. I'm tall, young, and fit, so the engineer asks if I wanna go try to get the phone number. I reply nah, reach over and lay on the whistle for a solid minute as the two trespassers run screaming. Whistles are loud. Amplified by a compact overpass tunnel, it's painfully loud. Also, cool railroad pictures aren't worth getting hurt or putting trainmen in a semi-responsible position of your demise. Haha, I love ridiculous requests because I do surrealist stuff on my own time and really enjoy going for weird unusual vibes. Probably the funniest was one girl who came to my house. I have a mini jungle to shoot with my plants and we wrapped her up in vines, wrapped her guitar, stacked up plants behind her and generally made it look like she was being enveloped by plants. Fun results, and really funny to shoot. I'm no model, but if I had to choose a way to be photographed, it would be in a sea of plants. Not a photographer. Boo it. My friend and I were flying to Vegas, and we were sitting in a bar in the airport having some beers. We watched a girl do a video shoot with her mom for 20 minutes. The odd thing was, she did the same walk away from the camera pulling her bag, then turn around and pose, make a silly face, growl at the camera every time. It only took maybe 30 seconds for her to do her thing, then to go review it, and start again. She did it dozens of times. It was great. I live in Vegas. We obviously have tons of tourists. This crap drives me insane. Obviously you'd take pictures, but the 30+ minute photo shoots in front of signs always get me. Not photography, but I make videos, full productions for major clothing sports brands. I get a crap load of influencers and models that are dying to be in the videos. One even tracked me down on Tinder after I blocked her on Instagram, begging that she would be way better than all the models with a professional portfolio and agency. Did a casting call on Instagram once. Worst mistake ever. There is a huge difference in being an Instagram model influencer and an actual professional model. Yes, we need to know all your sizes. Yes, all your sizes. I couldn't give a crap about which cup hip shoe size you have, but productions needs to know how else are they gonna make clothing that fits you exactly. No, you can't take photos, vlog on set. You're getting paid to model, not to influence. No, you can't post those photos until 6 months after, when the clothing line gets released. Yes, you have to wear winter clothes in summer and summer clothes in winter and shoot for 10 hours a day. Sometimes I believe being a model is even harder than being in the crew. At least I can look like I'm dying after the 3rd day. They still have to look pretty. I'm a model and it's crazy how much influencers change down market. The only positive side is that every time I work now, photographers and clients are always telling me how easy it is to work with me. How the last girl was hard to work with. Of course, I'm a professional. I do the job I've been paid to do. I was asked to do a boudoir shoot featuring blood, bondage and vampires, people biting each other, by a very well-established children's show staff producer back in Toronto. An influencer contacted my production company to shoot both a photo session and promo video. They sent me an estimate on how much I had to pay to do the work for her. I politely declined. I can't pay you, but think about all the great publicity. I'm just happy to see influencer in quotes where it belongs, as these jabberness do nothing of the sort. Jabberness, cool word. I am a model, and another model, she was known from a modeling TV show, asked me to shoot with her for a sunglasses company for exposure and fun. Exposure don't pay my bills. It was a big brand and they did not have a budget. When I declined, she immediately unfollowed me everywhere. I heard a story once about designers trying to pay models in product, like, get some shirts for modeling for us. You have been visited by the Holy Doggo. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.